So first of all, we don't know really much, except that we received a copy of an email that you had sent out.
Yeah.
I know you had just described sort of your uncertainty as to why it's being interpreted in particular ways. I am happy, just to talk through some of that with you, but I think it would make sense probably for you to just tell us a little bit of the background behind like the event and your thinking in writing the email, maybe.
Yeah. Sure. So I guess one thing, I do have a distinctive informal voice when I do my emails generally. Especially
what? Informal?
Distinctive.
Yeah. Oh, you try to make them.
Yeah, because I get so sick of all like the wall emails. They're just like, it's so sanitized and makes everything sound not fun. And also, it's a pretty tight knit community. So I like to have it be like I'm talking to my friends.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're actually going to be hanging out instead of some kind of like academic kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So for this was a Constitution Day thing, because one of the other board members had mentioned to me, hey, why don't we ever mix it like FedSoc? And that would be fun, because some of the people on the board are in FedSoc as well. So like, yeah, sure. So I reached out to them, and they said, yeah, how about Friday, Constitution Day? Seems like a fun idea. And we'll be able to like do like classic American kind of patriotic goodies, like America's apple pie, get some fried chicken. And then I thought I would host it at my own place. We have a big backyard. I like showing it off. We got a great deal because we used on-campus partners. Because we're downtown, big backyard. We're paying like East Rock prices, and it's pretty great. So I was excited. So I was going to be able to finally host some NALSA people at my place. So I sent out the email. Hope you're feeling social. This Friday at 7:30, we'll be christening our very own, soon to be rolled around NALSA Trap House, which is what I refer to like as our social spaces. That would be like the place I lived. I know in the spring we were trying to think about getting someone just like roommates together over the summer in Miami, because that's where I was going to be, and we're referring to it for that as well.
Can you explain I actually wanted to
Sure.
Google in Trap House because that wasn't a term I was familiar with, but what was your thinking about Trap House?
Yeah, so the idea is kind of like it's a bachelor pad. It's like a not very fancy social space where people drink.
Okay.
Like, I feel like the vibe I imagine is like high school kids drinking in their mom's basement.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just thought it's a funny name. It makes it sound social. It makes it sound like a fun. So it's just my house.
Yeah.
So you got like the something. The NALSA social space, but it sounds less sanitized.
Right.
So, a few things.
Okay.
This isn't adjudicatory or punitive. You're not here to be met with rebuke.
Okay.
I
met enough of that last night.
Yeah, and I don't know at all what your past few nights have been.
Yeah, this was all last night.
Oh, this was
like
all
I
last
sent
night.
the email last night at 9 p.m.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So basically.
And then someone screenshotted a minute later, and then someone posted in our class group me an hour after that.
Oh.
And then I got stuck. I was gonna go to Wodes with some friends, and then I got stuck in like a long Zoom meeting talking about email etiquette.
Yeah. So.
And the person who posted it on the group meet didn't reach out to you in advance?
No one's reached out to me with anything negative other than people reached out with support and confusion.
Support and confusion. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any awareness or sort of consciousness about the historical significance of the word trap and its racial associations. Do you?
No. I guess in the group meet, someone said something about an event to celebrate whiteness, and then they accused me of cosplaying and blackface, which I have no idea where that is.
Yeah.
Someone said apple pie is an African American, but I'm pretty sure it's just American.
Yeah. So I just want to disentangle
Okay.
some of what might seem to you to be confusing or unclear
Okay.
associations that are being made with the word or the concept of trap.
Okay.
So there are two sort of like distinct ways of thinking about the word trap that relate to your correspondence being characterized as racially insensitive.
Okay.
So in one paradigm, we would think about the word trap through the lens of a sort of crack den or a crack house. Okay, so that's like one social reference for it. The sort of racial associations with that connotation would sort of be bound up in some of the, the drug use that has been historically associated with poor Black and brown communities in this country. So that word trap can be triggering for Black and brown communities that have either been affected or deeply impacted by that sort of racial rhetoric, that type of stereotyping, type of prejudice. So that's just broadly one way to think about it. And then the historical significance there would be related to sort of the war on drugs and then the war on crime and the ways in which that's contributed to mass incarceration and felon disenfranchisement. And so there's a rich history there that's sort of just like bundled into the kind of the nerves of that word specifically.
Okay.
On the other, in another paradigm, you have the word trap, which refers specifically to a genre of hip-hop music, which is specifically Black hip-hop music. And in the past, college students, namely fraternities and sororities throughout the U.S., tend to have events where they celebrate Black culture, Black tradition, sort of as white people through mockery. And so they would use charcoal, and they would sort of paint their faces with the charcoal, and it would sort of be a form of blackface. And they would do it sort of in the name of Black hip-hop, Black tradition, maybe for some of them celebrating it, but it also has historical significance for Black communities because it's its relationship with blackface, which, as you know, stems as far back to the antebellum period, when Black people couldn't act in theater, and so white people would perform as Black people, and sometimes they'd even perform as slaves, and they would wear blackface. So the use of the word trap and like the way that like blackface has lived on through events that involve the word trap or involve Blackness or involve hip hop can be even more deeply triggering for Black communities, right? So that's also seen as racialized. And then you compound that with the fried chicken reference, which is also a reference that is often used by the white majority to sort of like characterize the cuisine and so the culture of Black communities. And it's also been used to undermine arguments that structural or systemic racism have contributed to health disparities in the U.S., and is also sort of offhanded comments made often about why Black communities tend to be more overweight. And so there's a lot of like racism that's even tied into like the use of the word for fried chicken with trap. And then I also think some people were offended, although it wasn't as clear, with sort of the basic bitch part of the email, which I think, is problematic in part because it references women in a certain type of way, and I think it's namely affecting for white women, but it also felt like it was derogatory and so gendered. I just wanted to provide you with this context and this background as a way to educate you, not as a way to make an assumption about what you should have known or been aware of or conscientious of at the time you wrote the email. And I don't want you to feel like this is a moment to like provide an argument that might oppose, any one of those.
I think I'll just not use the word anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've used it openly for months and no one said a thing.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been better if someone had said something at any point.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate.
And I do think, to be quite frank, that like as a man of color, there probably isn't as much of a scrutiny of you as there might be of sort of a white person in the same position. And I just want to acknowledge that there's a complexity to that too.
Yeah.
I think the emails association with FedSoc was very triggering for students that already feel like FedSoc. It belongs to political affiliations that are oppressive to certain communities through policies, right? That, of course, obviously includes the LGBTQIA community and Black communities and immigrant communities, and and so there's just a lot, I think, of social and political rhetoric
Yeah.
that was just sort of on the periphery of what you wrote. And so for you, it's not immediately obvious because of perceptual segregation and experiential segregation. And I think that, like, I just want this conversation to be a moment to check in with you and think, how in our role as student affairs professionals can we help you?
Yeah, I'm glad we're having this talk because I wasn't gonna like walk around looking for somebody to talk to, but I was just hoping that someone at some point would actually come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get this email from you guys until this morning.
Yeah.
No one posted in the group me other than final response since 10:14 p.m. last night. So I was thinking I would just run into someone at some point and they would like have this talk. But I guess we're already having this. But I guess one thing, am I being accused of like discrimination and harassment in like the specific targeting people sense? Because that's how the email from you guys kind of read.
So a student did bring a complaint that like this email was a form of discrimination. I think sort of the harassment piece might be more related to like how this has been psychically damaging and psychically harmful. But I do think that like it's important to at least just acknowledge that one of your classmates did see this correspondence as being discriminatory, and then another read it just plainly as being anti-Black and perpetuating anti-Blackness. So I just want to know from you, like, how you're feeling about all of this, what you would like potential next steps to look like, because I have a few suggestions, but I just want to know how you're doing.
Honestly, I'm a little tired. I've been a little stressed dealing with all this for a while. I'd like to just kind of get behind it as soon as possible. I feel like we had that long meeting with NALSA and we instituted more email reviews, so we'll actually talk about them before I send out to the NALSA listserv. Yeah. And I think we took a lot of care of the procedural failures last night. I think we're gonna have kind of in our next board meeting, and I think next steps. I think let it slide. I think it'll die down. People want to talk to me. I'm open to it.
Yeah, I was wondering if, one of the things we might be able to think about just in terms of like community healing is, and I would have to check with the students that sort of brought the concerns to our office earlier, but I don't know where you are on sort of thinking about forgiveness or asking for forgiveness, or just apologizing and maybe just trying to de-escalate some of the tension.
So that's what I was thinking. Like, if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm welcome to it. But if they don't want to, I get that. I don't want to like force anything. If they don't want to like talk to me, that's fine.
Do you
We've just we've gotten like 2 more complaints that have sort of come in since this morning.
Okay.
Related to this. So,
I think there are like a few different ways we can do this. One, you could write an email just to us that we could then send to the students that are bringing the complaints. It sort of says, to whomever is, to whomever is writing to the Office of Student Affairs about this, I want you to know that, like, I deeply regret the email that I wrote. I didn't at all think about the implications of it in this way. I would like to expressly apologize and would like to learn and grow. And I invite you to reach out to me directly if it's something you might be comfortable with. So I can explain to you this in person or over the phone. You should know that, like, I'm taking the time to be educated on these issues, and I hope to do better. And I'm happy to help you think about some of that language. If that I think might be better than us just writing back to people saying, you can reach out to Trent if you want to talk, just because it feels like it's not clear exactly where your heart and mind are. At the same time, I don't want to diverge too far from who you are as a person and what you otherwise might do in a situation like this. But as someone who wants to be like an ambassador of community here, I think that that's the quickest way to a resolution.
Yeah.
I don't know. The one other thought I had was, since a number of these have come from Balsa members, whether a note to the Balsa leadership.
Specifically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a possibility. I think what we're trying to do a couple different things. Nipping things in the bud is always a good a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I said, we've gotten 2 more messages is just, we got the first one at like 9-something this morning, and shortly after that, reached out to you. But they're sort of coming, and in our experience, again, every situation can be different, but it tends to be that these things just amplify, over time, and people write. So for your sake as well as the community's sake, I think kind of addressing this quickly is important. I think the second thing is, and to be clear, none of these people said, this Trent's a real problem, we think he's racist or anything like that. It's really more, this is concerning. Several people said they didn't even know who you were, but they were just concerned about the rhetoric. So I think what Yasene's saying makes sense of like, look, you guys don't know me from a hole in the wall, but I didn't intend to offend anybody when I wrote this, and now, I understand this.
I guess the one thing I dislike about doing the pre-letter to forward anytime it comes in is that I've already had one email just thrown publicly. I think that will just escalate it more. Like read into like lines and like try to do something with it. At least that's like something I have in my head. That's why I'd rather just be like one-on-one things. Like if they like to talk to me, they can, and keep it from having like a publishable statement.
So I don't want to put the onus on Black students to reach out to you to talk more. I also don't want to make our office look like an ineffective source of resolution because we're just writing to students and telling them, he's so sorry, accept our expression of his apology on your behalf, because it looks almost as if like we've all just sort of folded into each other, and it erases your individuality and your agency in this. And so it's hard because we're up to almost 8 or 9 student complaints about this, and you want this to go away, I think, as quickly as possible, with the helpful resolution of now knowing that like there will be a procedure for emailing to students about events in the future. But also, I think that like you as a person want some character-driven rehabilitation, and I think the best way for that to happen, and knowing the students, I think it would be the most appreciated, would be an email where you just explicitly accepted some responsibility and just apologize. I can't imagine that would do anything other than make you look like a thoughtful, reasonable, kind person. And that is more likely to have this go away, which is clearly what you want, than I think any other alternative. Part of what I also worry about is this lingering over your own reputation as a person, not just here, but when you leave. And it's just something to think about. You know, like the legal community is a small one. Your classmates are your peers, and I don't want you to be in an echo chamber where people make you think that you did nothing wrong. This isn't a conversation about whether you did anything wrong. It's about language that was used, that was triggering, and you're just trying to like take responsibility for managing through some of the tension related to that. And I think that's just the responsible way forward.
Okay.
So that's just like, that's my advice to you as sort of a mentor to a student. And I'm happy to help you if you're so exhausted and tired and sort of feeling down because of this. I'm happy to help. I mean, it's part of my role. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to help draft, the first iteration of this, and then you can decide what feels the most pure to you. I'm not trying to tell you to do this and so you're off on your own. I want to help give you guidance and nurture your social and intellectual development here as a student. It's not an admission of guilt, and I was very clear in the rep meeting. This isn't adjudicatory, and this isn't going beyond the community of the school, but I actually do think that the community of the school should be our main priority when we think about why we motivate ourselves to act and to remediate issues as they come up. So.
Okay, think about it for a little while?
Absolutely. Think about it.
Again, I slept maybe 4 hours last night.
Yeah, think about it. It's hard, and I'm grateful you took the time to meet with us and to listen to me and to become more aware about this.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to say, some students have asked us to say something as an institution.
That was the point I was going to make. There's been
this.
multiple letters have said the law school should take a stand. And again, I think we're always looking for ways to not ratchet things up unnecessarily, but at the same time, as Yaseen said, to sort of address it in a way that's clean and that's respectful to the needs of the students who brought the complaints to us. I want you to take time so that you can be comfortable with the decision you reach. At the same time, I think I just do know in a situation like this, people start to escalate, and the more it escalates, the more rigid people might get in terms of what expectations are. And so the diffusing it is always the most effective way to go, which means doing something sooner rather than later. But again, you take time, but just try not to take too much time.
I think
that's helpful.
I think there is room right now for forgiveness. I don't think the people that wrote to us want to be carceral with you. But I think it raises questions for some students about the values of this community and where does the law school align its values, given some of the the underlying context to the words that you use. And I do want so much for your time at the law school to be pleasant. I want you to be able to continue to move between different realms. I know you are on the FedSoc board and you're involved with the Republican group, and I don't want you to feel like this is like a partisan issue and you're taking a partisan line when that's actually not what any of this is about. This isn't about you being affiliated with conservative student groups. This isn't a part of some assassination against, conservative student groups on college campuses. It's not intended to malign your character because of that. I think it's really an attempt to understand why it is that someone would write an email that looks like it's inviting others to make a mockery of Black people. And I think if there's one really kind of simple, easy way of thinking about it, it would be that.
Okay.
And I'm at the ready to help you. If you want to put an email together, I can send it out to the students. I guarantee you that it'll be screenshotted. It'll be passed around.
Yeah.
But I think for anyone who is on the fence about whether they need to be an ally to the Black students on this issue, including other Black students, they would see your apology email and be like...
Okay. I know, whenever I see apology emails, publicly, it always feels like people are mocking the apology for either, not going far enough or not being accepting
But there are
full guilt and saying they meant it.
But the alternative is no apology, which speaks volumes. And listen, I write speeches, I write essays, I write emails, I write, and I always know when I write that my writing will fall short.
Okay.
And there will be a group of people who read it, who are eye rolling or sighing or grunting. And as someone who's like a diversity professional in this space, it's haunting. I'm haunted by the shortcomings that are inherent in using words and using words within the confines of a bureaucracy and an institution with various stakeholders and varied stakeholders.
Because I guess I'm thinking that the screenshot itself in being spread around, will speak its own more volumes, because no response has no screenshot.
But no response,
die away.
We're left with the black mockery. An apology, you erase that narrative by saying, I claim ignorance because I had no idea. But I've learned more, and now I know, and I am sorry. And that was not at all what I was trying to do. And I've gone back with an ALSA board with this. We have met, emails will go through a process of different eyes where there are different perspectives. And so if something like this were to happen again, because I wasn't aware, someone else will be aware for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn and grow. Hard stop.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you put it that way.
Yeah, it does. And it also, I don't want to be a part of conversations about you being a person that you're not. And having met with you and spoke with you, you're an honest person, you're someone that clearly has integrity, and you're a good person. And I want that to be what people see from you. And I would hate to have to spend however much longer in this vortex of people making claims about who you are without even having met you once. So I'm very protective over you, especially given this conversation, which is why I'm even more please, let's put something together.
I think part of it is I'm just very tired, and I don't want to draft an email, at least right now.
Yeah.
But
I will draft it for you, and then you can look at it.
Yeah, I think.
And you can see what you want.
Okay. And sounds good.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Just as sort of a next step?
Yeah.
I will help and it'll be between us. Okay?
Yeah.
And I will draft it for you, and Dean Cosgrove will be in copy, and you can see if it resonates.
Yeah. And I can edit it or something.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
it should be your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be your voice, and I think maybe Trent could send it directly to Marie. Right? Or that we could give him the name of the BALSA board members. Or we could send it to her and say, we've been asked to send this to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, maybe?
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what's your schedule for the rest of the day?
I've got some meetings. I'm supposed to go to the gym.
Might be good for your mental health.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk with someone on your own today? Or anyone we have?
I think I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because we also, we have Mia who's on our team, who's, clinical counselor. We can connect you with, Yale Mental Health. You haven't slept, you're tired. This is a lot.
I mean, the reason I hadn't slept is because I went to the beach with some friends.
Okay.
So it's not anything too crazy.
Okay. Do you want to go for coffee? Do you want to walk? Do you want to take a breath? I mean, this is a lot. It's a lot. Even as I was talking, and this isn't really happening to me. Is there anything you want that we can help with?
I think I'm fine.
Gym and nap sounds
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the plan for the day.
Can I take your cell phone number?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Go ahead. Got it. And you have. And who's your roommate? Who are your roommates?
Just as a heads up, we did also reach out to the head of FedSoc and NALSA just to flag for them in case the groups are getting any kind of outreach about this. So it sounded like it was kind of a casual event between the two groups and not something that there were a ton of people involved in planning on either side.
Yeah.
For FedSoc and for NALSA. So, okay, so yeah.
The part of the part of the word trap being that sort of that crackdown, that reference to poor people. For some, it almost felt like it was sort of parodying the lifestyle of poor people, sort of making a mockery of that condition. For you, trap just meant like you were talking about, like we're three bachelors and we have this huge backyard, and and we're probably not using fabric softener in our laundry, and we don't have our Windex bottles out. But I just think that there's also that element of poverty that was triggering for some students, especially some of our our first gen students. And so I would really like you to just get ahead of those assumptions.
Okay.
So I'll draft something for you and I'll email it to you, and it's going to be short because it should be short.
Yeah.
And if it's too long, it might seem like it's not really trying to just apologize.
Yeah.
And then you just take a look at it as soon as you get a second and just let us know how you feel.
All right.
We are going to, we'll meet with the dean because, she was made aware of this. Because some of the students that wrote to us also did put her in copy. So we're going to talk, we're going to continue to be talking about it throughout the day. And I want to be able to say that we came to some sort of agreement on at least immediate next steps.
All right.
Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is all in the cone. Okay, so don't worry, and we'll talk. Yeah, exactly. We're not.
All right.
We're not gonna do it. All right, Ken.
Thank you. I know this is a lot to go from 0 to 180 after sending a message out. But anyway, will you take care?
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.